Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to address the Public-Private Dialogue on Services. I'd like to thank the Asia Pacific Services Coalition and the APEC Business Advisory Council, ABAC, for this invitation. I expect that talking to this audience about the importance of services will be like preaching to the converted, but I'll try. We all know that services are not only an important sector in itself, a sector that accounts for 2/3 of economic output, attracts over 2/3 of foreign direct investment, and provides most jobs globally. But services are also critical for development strategies and to stimulate sustainable and inclusive growth and development as we emerge from the pandemic. Between 2010 and 2019, global exports of commercial services grew by 57%, compared to 25% growth for merchandise trade. In value-added terms, services account for close to half of the value of international goods and services trade combined. However, since the start of the pandemic, services trade has been dearly affected, and it has declined by 21% in 2020, particularly due to closing down of tourism, travel, and the temporary decrease in demand for transport. Resuming solid growth of services trade will be key to economic recovery and building resilience across the world. And this means including across APEC economies. As APEC is taking stock of progress in achieving the targets of the APEC Services Competitiveness Roadmap, I notice that a complex picture is emerging. On the one hand, restrictions to services trade and investment have declined on average, and importantly, in essential services such as logistics, cargo handling, maritime transport, and freight forwarding. On the other hand, across APEC economies, there are still significant restrictions in certain sectors, including those that are digitally enabled, many of which we also today see as essential. As vaccine production is ramped up across the globe, essential services are also a key component here as well. As the two upcoming sessions will explore, I believe that accelerating digital transformation and boosting services competitiveness post-pandemic will be key for APEC economies to meet the targets of their services competitiveness roadmap. Now, technologies indeed offer the possibility of sharply reducing high trade costs in some services sectors, offering major potential gains. Let me say, the multilateral trading system has a crucial role to play in recovery. Taking this opportunity, I'd like to ask everyone here to support the WTO and its 12th Ministerial Conference, or the MC12. At the WTO, the digital economy has been the focus of members in the work program and the JSI, Joint Statement Initiative. A memorandum on the imposition of customs duties to electronic transmissions in force since 1998 benefits businesses, consumers, and the digital economy. Its extension will be a key issue at MC12. Over recent years, 86 WTO members have been engaging in negotiations aimed at developing new rules for digital trade and have made good progress. One aspect that is lagging behind in the WTO is progress on the Services Market Access Fund. While many negotiators in the JSI on electronic commerce understand the need to update the outdated GATS commitments with regard to digital services, multilateral discussions on restarting market access talks are still in an exploratory phase. An important area of progress, on the other hand, is services domestic regulation. On 27th September 2021, a group of members working plurilaterally concluded the text-based negotiations on a reference paper on services domestic regulation. This reference paper has been designed with the objective of increasing the transparency and predictability of regulatory frameworks and removing procedural bottlenecks in the services sector. We all know how crucial this is for services suppliers. The participating members, 65 at present, covering 90% of world services trade, aim to finalize their negotiations by the MC12. If implemented, this outcome may lead to substantial reductions in trade costs, as the OECD will explain later. And recent WTO research suggests that an outcome on services domestic regulation also has the potential to boost participation of implementing economies in services trade in global value chains and raise the level of entrepreneurship, thereby fostering the competitiveness of services markets. APEC economies have already endorsed substantively equivalent principles on domestic regulation in the services sector. However, not all APEC economies have yet joined the WTO process. But I'm confident that by joining this negotiation, APEC economies will lend further credibility to their ongoing and ambitious internal regulatory reforms. In the coming sessions, I'm sure you will hear more about these areas of work, but let me conclude by re-emphasizing that services are becoming the predominant drivers of trade. They facilitate digital adaptation and improve market access and the regulatory environment for trade, including digital trade. Services will have a key role to play in a post-COVID economic recovery that is sustainable, inclusive, and resilient. I thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you today.